We have Madonna to thank for this, but when it comes to being provocative, Katy Perry may be the heiress to the throne. She's nominated for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance, and trust me, it didn't happen by playing it safe.
Sometimes I do things that people don't expect pop girls to do. You want to look at the camera?
Look.
Oh, yeah. Delicious.
Look.
Katy Perry's got some explaining to do.
I first heard this song this weekend and I was kind of like, what did I just hear?
Why does the naughty pop star who sings songs you would never hear in Sunday school sport a Jesus tattoo? And was this bi-curious ode to sexual experimentation really written by the daughter of two evangelical ministers?
Sometimes people would expect, well, they're pastors. I'm a black sheep, you know.
More like a cash cow. At 24, Katy Perry is pop's reigning princess, thanks to that cherry chapstick chart topper that spent 7 weeks at #1, tying a Capitol Records milestone previously held by the Beatles. What about I Kissed a Girl?
I woke up one morning and I had this chorus in my head. You know, I was like, that is so interesting. What a interesting subject matter.
Ironically, it was the one song her record label wanted to ditch.
They said, no, we don't really hear it. I don't think we're gonna put this on the record. And of course I was like, count to 10, don't forget. It'll grow on them just like it grew on you.
And you have actually kissed many a girl.
Yes, ma'am, I have. Many a woman.
And liked it?
Well, yeah, I guess I would have stopped after the first one.
With pinup girl looks and a salacious sense of humor,
Do you guys like my cherries?
Katy Perry says she's super blessed. And she should know, given the house she grew up in Santa Barbara, California. What was your childhood like?
Well, we're in a church, so it very much feels like home right now. I went to church on Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and Wednesday night. I started singing in church at 9 years old.
She was raised Catherine Elizabeth Hudson, a middle child, by two parents, both traveling ministers, whose services included speaking in tongues. And it's really God is speaking through you, or it's some kind of communion with God?
Yeah, it's exactly that. There was a movie called Jesus Camp, and I watched it, and I was like, I didn't know they had behind-the-scenes footage of my childhood.
Mom and Dad were so devout, deviled eggs were called angeled eggs, and secular music was off limits, except you could listen to the soundtrack from Sister Act?
Sister Act 2, yeah.
So how did Katy Perry get to here from there? Turns out the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Your mom dated Jimi Hendrix?
She went on a date.
And your dad hung around with Timothy Leary?
Yeah, he was a part of the Strawberry Fields forever. My parents have stories, and they found God, you know? Not that they needed to find God. God found them, really.
At 13, the preacher's daughter was ready to take her own walk on the wild side. Katy discovered Queen and the flamboyant Freddie Mercury.
He seemed to have come out on stage like a firecracker, and I love that. He was an entertainer, you know, and that's what I want to be, is an entertainer.
Yep, that's her. It wasn't Bohemian Rhapsody, but her performance on Christian TV had people singing her praises. And soon enough, she was Nashville bound. This was your first album.
Yes. Oh my goodness, you have one. Lucky you.
This was a Christian album?
It was a Christian gospel album I made when I was 15. That was my world, and I appreciated it, and all those songs I wrote were very important to me at the time. I wrote about everything I knew then.
But the record flopped, and Katy went home.
At 16, I was just like, okay, well, this is over. What do I do now? I watched VH1 and I saw Glenn Ballard. And he was talking about Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill. And I was like, oh, that's a really good record. She speaks from my perspective. I want to make a record like that.
Six-time Grammy Award-winning producer Glenn Ballard remembers the day the starry-eyed songstress arrived at his LA studio.
You know, I was a million miles away working on something else.
And I walked in with my guitar and I played him a song.
She played the song and it was, okay, that's all I need to know.
And then he called me the next day and said, I want to move you to Los Angeles. I want to help fulfill your dreams.
So not to be confused with actress Kate Hudson, Katy Hudson changed her name. But after 3 years of writing and recording, Katy Perry was signed and dropped by 2 major record labels.
I had someone say to me that you should probably go home because you're never going to get signed again. You're pretty much damaged goods and you should be in the defect aisle at Ross. And I'm 20 at that point. I'm like, I'm defected goods already?
But Ballard still believed.
I encourage Katy to not so much to rebel against anything that she's been through, but to actually use it toward defining who she really was as a person.
She got it. And in November 2007, a kitschy rant called You're So Gay about a metrosexual ex became an instant hit with everyone, except gays.
The song is about a boy that probably was gay in another lifetime, but now is straight and I'm dating him. And he doesn't even like boys, but I think he was gay at one point in my lifetime.
But it wasn't an indictment against gay people or homosexuality.
Not at all.
What it was, Katy Perry putting the world on notice she had found her voice.
It's like my very honest, frank, female perspective, very female perspective, I guess you would say. Probably the biggest ingredient in my recipe is humor.
Humor that pushes the limits, as I found out when I made a stop on her recent Jingle Ball tour.
The effects.
Santa baby.
Santa baby.
What do your mom and dad think of your music today?
I understand that maybe they're not singing along with everything, but they are very happy for me.
And to dispel any myth they may not be, Keith and Mary Hudson made a cameo appearance as mom and dad in Katy's Hot and Cold music video.
I think I'm not exactly what I was born into, but I still have my roots.
And you appreciate it sounds like.
Appreciate it and respect it to the fullest. I do believe in faith. I believe that faith is pure.
And that, she says, is the reason for that tattoo. A constant reminder that no matter where Katy Perry goes, Katy Hudson is never far behind.
And I knew I wanted this on me because no matter how much changes around me or how much I change, there's not really an eraser for this.
And every time you play the guitar?
It stares right back at me. It's like, remember, you came from this, and you can always go back to it.